In this episode, we look at world climatic zones, page 92 from our social studies textbook. What determines the climate of a place? Climate differs worldwide. Climate is the average condition of the weather which exists over a large area or region for a long period of time. These conditions include wind, rain, sunshine, temperatures, air pressure, and humidity. The main difference then between climate and weather is that weather changes constantly, but climate does not really change. Factors that affect climate. The factors that affect the climate of a place are 1. Latitude, 2. Altitude, 3. Distance from the sea or ocean. Latitude. The latitude of a place is mainly responsible for the amount of heat it gets. The most direct rays of the sun strike the areas near the equator. Places near the equator are usually hot all year round, while places far from it are usually cold. Temperature gets cooler and cooler as one goes further away from the equator. Places at the North or South Pole are cold throughout the year. Altitude. Altitude or height is a location's distance above sea level. Air temperature decreases as altitude increases. The higher up you go, the cooler it becomes. Hence, places located on mountains are cooler than places on the plains. This is because for every 100 meters that one ascends a mountain, the temperature falls 0.65 degrees Celsius. Any place that is near the equator should be very hot. However, if a place is on a high mountain slope, it can be very cold. For example, Quito in Ecuador, South America, is on the equator and should be hot all year round, but it is very cold because it is located on a mountain. Distance from the sea or ocean. The temperature of a place can be affected by how near or far it is from the sea or ocean. Places near the sea or ocean are usually cooler than places further inland. During the day, the sea heats up slowly, while the land heats up quickly. Therefore, cool winds from the sea will cool the land nearby. At nights, the land cools very rapidly. Places far from the sea or ocean usually get less rain than places which are near to it. Rain clouds are made up of tiny drops of water which the winds pick up as they pass over the ocean or sea. By the time the winds travel far inland, most of the water vapor would have fallen as rain. This is why places near the ocean or sea get more rainfall than places far inland. We now go from page 92 to page 93. Climatic zones. The main climatic zones are the 1. Tropical zone, 2. Temperate zone, 3. Polar zone. The tropical zone extends from 23.5 degrees north latitude to 23.5 degrees south latitude. The north boundary is the Tropic of Cancer and the south boundary is the Tropic of Capricorn. This zone is near the equator at 0 degrees and is hot throughout the year except at high elevations. And this explains why the Blue Mountains in Jamaica is cool even during the summer. Temperate zone. The temperate zones are located on both sides of the tropical zone extending to 66.5 degrees north latitude and 66.5 degrees south latitude. The North Temperate Zone is located between the Tropic of Cancer and the Arctic Circle. The South Temperate Zone is located between the Tropic of Capricorn and the Antarctic Circle. Next we have the polar zone. The polar zones have the coldest temperature. They are located between 66.5 degrees north latitude and 66.5 degrees south latitude and the poles. The North Polar Zone, or cold or Arctic zone, is located between the Antarctic Circle and the North Pole. The South Cold or Antarctic zone is located between the Antarctic Circle and the South Pole. Here we have a diagram showing the climatic zones of the world. We have the North Pole and the South Pole. Dead in the center at 0 degrees, we have the equator. 23.5 degrees north is the northern boundary of the tropical zone, and 23.5 degrees south is the southern boundary of the tropical zone. On either side of that slightly green area, we have the North Temperate Zone between 23.5 degrees north and 66.5 degrees north, and is also present in the southern hemisphere between 23.5 degrees south and 66.5 degrees south. We have the cold zone, and we have the North Cold Zone between 66.5 degrees north and the North Pole, and the cold zone, the South Cold Zone between 66.5 degrees south and the South Pole. It's very important to remember that lines of latitude are involved with climatic zones. Now we turn from page 93 to page 94. It says now, each climatic zone is divided into specific climate types which share certain conditions. So the tropical climatic zone may be broken into these climatic types: hot desert, tropical monsoon, tropical maritime or marine, and tropical equatorial. Some of the countries now, for the hot desert, we would have the Sahara region. Tropical monsoon, an example is India. Tropical marine or maritime would be the Caribbean islands, and tropical equatorial would be the Amazon region and certain areas in Malaysia. We move on to the second climatic zone, which is the temperate zone, both north and south. We have temperate monsoon. South Japan is an example of that. Temperate grassland, the steppes of Russia, and the pampas of Argentina. Examples of cool forests now would be in Great Britain. And Mediterranean climate types can be found in California and Italy. Let's look at the polar regions. We have the Arctic and the Antarctic, or the North Polar Zone and the South Polar Zone. Ice caps could be found in Greenland, and the polar lowlands are found in northern Canada and Siberia. Characteristics of the climatic types. Number 1, tropical zone. We have the hot desert. This region includes some of the Earth's driest deserts. There is little or no rain, and it has very high temperatures throughout the year. Tropical monsoon. This region has warm temperatures and rain for about 6 months of the year. Tropical maritime or marine. These areas are influenced by the sea, for example, Jamaica. Equatorial. These places have warm temperatures and rain all throughout the year. We move on now to the temperate zone. Temperate monsoon. In this region, the temperature varies from cool to cold, with rainfall for 6 months of the year. Temperate grassland. This region experiences hot summers and extremely cold winters. Cool temperate forest lands. In this region, some places have cool summers and cold winters, while other places are cold all through the year. Mediterranean. These regions have hot summers and mild to cold winters. Spring and autumn have mild temperatures and rain falls in the winter months. Tundra. This region is cold throughout the year. Lastly, we have the polar or cold zone. These regions have short, cool summers and very long winters. Some areas, especially near the poles, are covered with snow and ice throughout the year. Other areas have a few weeks of warm temperatures when the snow melts. Now let's look at the impact of human activities on climate. The different climatic zones and types affect humans. Humans have adapted to live in every climatic type. Human activities can influence climatic conditions. As the human population increases, the need arises for land to grow food and provide housing solutions. All over the world, land has been cleared for construction and farming. The building of cities changes the climate in an area. For example, the paved surfaces absorb sunlight and heat up. This increases the temperature of the city as compared with the countryside. That's why people say in Portmore it's so hot, because we have a lot more paved surfaces than say in Chapelton or other country areas. Next point, the removal of trees has caused a decrease in the amount of rainfall, which has resulted in drier climate. Humans also affect climate through industrial activities and the driving of automobiles. Fumes from the automobiles, smoke from the industries, and the burning of fossil fuels release carbon dioxide, CO2, in the air. These factors increase the greenhouse effect and cause global warming. Smoke and dust created by farm practices reduce the radiant energy from the sun. To review, in this unit we looked at world climatic zones. We looked at what determines the climate of a place. We looked at the factors that affect climate, to include latitude, altitude, and distance from the sea or ocean. We looked at the climatic zones. We know that they are the tropical zone, the temperate zone, and the polar zone. We then looked at the characteristics of climate types. We looked at the hot desert, the tropical monsoon, tropical maritime or marine, and the tropical equatorial. We looked at the temperate monsoon, temperate grassland, cool temperate areas, Mediterranean and tundra areas. Finally, we looked at the polar or cold zones. To close off the unit, we looked at the impact of human activities on climate. And we know that we are influencing the climate by the things that we do. Now take the time to read this unit as many times as possible, do the unit review, and we will see you in the next episode.